My name is Athanasia. I'm a web and motion designer, and this is FramerX for beginners. In this class, I'm gonna teach you how to create powerful interactive prototypes fast in FramerX. I'm gonna show you how to create a wide variety of projects so that you can learn the fundamental principles of working with the software and apply it to whatever you like. This class is for anyone interested in delivering rich, interactive and animated prototypes. You can create an impressive prototype without touching a single line of code. If, however, coding is your thing, you can use actual React.js components with real data, build rich animations, and deliver an extraordinary experience. What you will need is a Mac and a copy of the software, which you can download from the link in the description. By recreating this simple prototype, you will learn to navigate the app, use basic tools, import designs from Sketch, export images, CSS and SVG through FramerX. Let's get familiar with the interface. Click on the New Project button. FramerX has a large canvas, a full feature toolkit and device preview. You can draw directly on the canvas, import vector assets, or even set up a series of frames to create a multi-screen app flow. Let's add a frame. Hit F on the keyboard. We can choose the pre-built ones or make our own. I'm gonna choose iPhone X from the list. You can always resize it by dragging the edges. You can pan over your canvas using space. Zoom in and out by holding Z and clicking on plus or minus. You can even click and drag while holding Z to select a specific region to zoom in. Command plus 0 returns to 100% and Command plus 9 centers the selection on the screen. Now let's put a frame inside a frame. Hit F, click on the canvas and drag to create a rectangle. Hold Shift to create a square and hold Option to draw from the center rather than top left. Position the square using the Properties panel to be 30 pixels from the left side. You can adjust the radius by dragging the circle located near the top left corner. Then the Properties panel reflects this change and can be edited there by adding a specific number. If I reach a specific amount of radius, the frame will change to a round, as you can see in the Layers panel. We can fill our frame with a solid, a gradient, or image, which is what we're doing because we want this round frame to be an avatar. Let's create our follow button by hitting U. U is a shortcut to create a round frame, which is the same as a regular frame, but has a maximum radius applied by default to either its sides, depending on which is smaller. It speeds things up if you're trying to create a build button, like our follow button for example. I'll make sure it is adjusted horizontally with the help of the smart guides. Let's fill it with a blue solid and add a drop shadow that extends 10% in the y-axis and has a blur of 30 pixels. You can directly select a layer by Command plus clicking on it. Rotate by dragging the edges. We don't want that right now, so let's Command Z to undo the last step. As you have noticed, FramerX has smart guides and the layers snap to them. We can use them to find the distance a layer has from the edges of the surrounding layers. Hold down Option and point to where you want to in order to know the distance in pixels. Let's add a call to action text on the button. We can alter its appearance from the Properties panel. For the Options button, draw a round while holding Shift to create a perfect circle. Make sure it's the same height as the Peel button. In order to create the settings icon in the round frame, hit G to create a graphic container. Then use the Circle tool, holding Shift to create 3 small gray circles. I'm selecting all of them and I'm hitting this button to distance them equally on the vertical axis. Now let's add a text layer. We are altering the details in the Properties panel. We'll choose the San Francisco display font, set the weight to heavy and color it black. Option click and drag to duplicate the layer to type a small bio. We need to change the size and color so that it is appropriate to the hierarchy of our text. Since I used a big size text for the name, I need to use a smaller text with a lower contrast color for the bio text. Now that you're familiar with setting the typography, I'm going to show you how to create this person's follower count and likes so that they're equally distributed using stacks. We will type the text and size them appropriately, having in mind the previous example. Then add a frame around them to group them. You can see from the hierarchy of our layers that Framer does a pretty good job grouping layers that belong to specific frames automatically. Hit S and draw a stack around the frame. By command clicking, we can directly select our group and use Command plus D to duplicate it twice. Stacks is going to align and distribute them equally. And we can easily change the order of these items without having to adjust them every time. Let's add a border at the top and bottom of the stack to visually distinguish the stats from the rest of the design. Next, we're gonna add our picture frames using stacks and a scrollable part in our design. Hit F and hold Shift to create a square. You can copy and paste style between frames like that. Get rid of the shadow and adjust the radius a little bit. Fill it with an image. Using the same technique we did before, create a stack and duplicate the frame a couple of times. We're placing the stack outside our frame because we're going to link it later to our scroll component. Add more space at the bottom because we need to add a gap between them. Like 30 pixels, for example. Let's add a different image to each of them. To create a scrollable section in our canvas, pick the scroll tool from the interactive tools and draw the lowest section. Finally, link it to the image stack. I'm adding a radius there because it will look more consistent with our design when the image is scrolled in the preview. That's it! You created your first prototype. Let's see it in action. Select the frame you want to preview and click on the preview button. If your preview is not showing the iPhone X dimensions and shape, you can choose it yourself from the options panel in the top right. You see how, in the scroll section, the top and bottom part is cut off with a round border at the edges. It is much better than cutting off with just a box, because we would have pointy edges and round edges in the same design. It will look weird and out of place. The only thing missing from our prototype is the look and feel of an iPhone. We don't want to waste a lot of time recreating that. We'll use the store to download a ready-made kit from some other user of Framer X. Find the iPhone X kits on the store and download that. We will be able to find that now in the Components panel. Add the status bar and change its appearance to black. Then do the same for the Home button. What if you already use Sketch and have a design ready? You can import it in FrameRx by copying and pasting artboards, simple as that. Let's do it with one I have right here. Everything is converted to frame layers that we can edit. In the description below I have a link with all the Sketch features that are supported in FrameRx right now. Exporting is straightforward. Simply select a layer and hit export in the bottom right corner. Select one of the pre-made presets or add your own. Adding a suffix to the preset will append this to your file name. Clicking the suffix drop-down allows you to save assets to organized folders. If you're in a hurry, you can quick export assets by copying and pasting. You can also export CSS and SVG directly from the app. Right-click on a layer and select either Copy CSS and share the style of an element with a developer. Or in case you created a shape, copy the SVG code to copy the values of the selected shape to your clipboard. That's about it for this video. Subscribe to get updates for the next lessons, and don't forget to let me know if there's something you want me to cover in the future by leaving a comment. In the next video, we get more in depth about the design capabilities of FrameRx. See you in the next lesson.